US President Donald Trump signed the charter of his so-called Board of Peace, which he has built as a body for resolving international conflicts with other founding members in Davos on Thursday. Hello and welcome. You're watching Deep Dive. My name is Vineet Malhotra on NewsX. Today we are diving into Trump's Board of Peace. While the board, indefinitely chaired by Trump, was originally conceived as a limited body tasked to oversee the reconstruction of Gaza, which was decimated by Israel's two-year war. But its purpose has since expanded to tackle conflicts the world over, and the charter draft, which was sent along with the invitations to join, does not even refer Gaza. Trump claimed everybody wants to be a part of his Board of Peace. He says he will continue to work with many others, including the United Nations. The US President has claimed that 59 countries are involved in efforts to bring peace to the Middle East, suggesting they have expressed support for his proposed Board of Peace. Trump had initially floated the Board of Peace as a part of a second phase of the US brokered 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan in September. The United Nations Security Council backed the plan in November, giving it international legitimacy, with a mandate for the board to oversee the demilitarization and rebuilding of Gaza. But Trump had longer-term plans. The charter draft describes the Board of Peace as an international organization promoting stability, peace, and governance in areas affected or threatened by conflict. Trump will serve as indefinite chairman of the board, possibly holding the post beyond his second term as president. And according to the charter, the Board of Peace will sit above a founding executive board that includes Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. According to its charter, the board launches with the 19 founding members, with Trump himself as the chairman, and is tasked with carrying out peace-building functions in accordance with international law. At the heart of the initiative is Trump himself. The board's charter grants its chairman extensive executive authority, including the power to veto decisions and remove members, albeit subject to certain constraints. The concentration of power is consistent with Trump's leadership style, but it also raises concerns among diplomats and analysts about checks, balances, and long-term credibility. The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, Bahrain, Pakistan, Turkey, Hungary, Morocco, Kosovo, Argentina, and Paraguay have accepted Trump's invitation, as have the Central Asian states of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, and Southeast Asian nations of Indonesia and Vietnam. Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu is also on board, even though he has fumed at the inclusion of Turkish and Qatari officials on the Gaza Executive Board and faces an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court. Armenia and Azerbaijan, which signed a US brokered peace agreement last year in a deal that would give the US exclusive development access to a critical transit corridor in the region, have also agreed. Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, often described as Europe's last dictator and a key ally of Russian leader Vladimir Putin, has also signed up. Russian President Putin is yet to confirm his decision, although he has floated using Russian assets frozen in the US to pay the $1 billion fee for a permanent seat. Putin's potential inclusion has raised alarm about how a country actively waging war could be involved in an effort to secure peace. Canada's Mark Carney, who has repeatedly rallied against Trump, ripping up the global rules-based order and imposing punishing tariffs, intends to join with conditions, saying the details, including financial ones, were yet to be worked out. On the other hand, some nations have not committed either way, while others have rejected invitations. France and Norway have declined, in part citing questions about how the Board of Peace would operate in conjunction with the UN. UK voiced doubts, with London announcing that it would skip the event. Foreign Minister Yvette Cooper announced, citing concerns over Russia's possible involvement in the initiative aimed at resolving global conflicts. China confirmed that it was invited, but has not said whether it will join. A foreign ministry spokesperson said that China will stay firmly committed to safeguarding the international system with the UN at its core. Trump's comments that the board might replace the UN have compounded concerns that it may become a vehicle for him to supersede the body established 8 years ago to maintain global peace. The board's charter mentions institutions that have too often failed without naming the UN, an organization Trump has repeatedly criticized. What remains unclear is what legal authority the Board of Peace will possess and whether it will have any enforcement mechanisms beyond diplomatic persuasion. The Charter does not spell out how the board would interact with existing international institutions such as the United Nations, nor how overlapping mandates would be managed. The ambiguity could complicate coordination in crisis situations, particularly where multilateral legitimacy is critical. Major General G. Dwivedi, Global and Strategic Defense Expert, is joining us. Sir, always a pleasure to have you on the program. Well, it's a good idea to have a board of peace, but the fact of the matter is this something which is going to be stepping on the toes of the United Nations? And if that be the case, from an Indian point of view, from the prism that we see the UN with, is this a good idea since India has never found the kind of inclusion it deserves in UN?
Well, Vineet, firstly, always a pleasure to be on the NewsX. Well, this the new development of Board of Peace today is stands legislated because it has been signed officially at Davos and by number of countries. Almost I counted that time more than 20, but there could be more. But as per President Trump is concerned, that 59 countries have given the assent, and more are likely to join in. Now, where does this board stand when we look at the other global bodies, especially the UN? Well, you rightly said that initially this board was conceived as a phase two of the Gaza peace plan, which was unfolded by President Trump last September and which was implemented last October. And this phase two was basically to build on phase one. Phase one was stabilize Gaza, humanitarian crisis to be handled, and ceasefire was to be implemented. That is the yellow line. But phase one has not gone.
We'll take a short break. We'll be back.